Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
We anchor the facts. A home for in-depth reportage, breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide spectrum of topics.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring most important news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
We anchor on the facts, breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide range of topics.
Atlantic Television Network, home for in-depth reportage. Facts, professionalism, all the news you need. Atlantic Television Network. Atlantic Television Network.
Atlantic Television Network, anchoring facts.
This is the news on Atlantic Television Network. Trust the headlines. President Muhammad Buhari calls on Muslims to demonstrate virtues of Islam on occasion of Eid al-Kabir. Court orders Independent National Electoral Commission to list the name of Chukwuma Soludo as All Progressive Grand Alliance candidate for Anambra November 6 governorship poll. Yoruba Nation agitator Sunday Igboho arrested in Cotonou, Benin Republic. Haitian authorities inaugurate new government. And thanks for joining us in the news. These are Muslims and Nigerians have joined their counterparts across the world to celebrate the 2021 Eid al-Kabir Shah, as also known as Eid al-Kabir, In Abuja, Muslims converged on the Abuja National Eid ground where prayers were observed with strict adherence to the COVID-19 protocols. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has called on Muslims in the country to demonstrate the virtues of Islam. President Buhari says this in his Eid message signed by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, on Monday. Speaking on the significance of Eid al-Kabir celebration, the president appealed to Muslims to demonstrate the virtues of Islam through personal examples and practices. He added that taking advantage of celebration to exploit fellow citizens through outrageous prices of food and ramps is inconsistent with the virtues of Islam. President Buhari restated the determination of his administration to create a just, harmonious, and prosperous country in which the safety of life and property is assured. In a related development, the chief imam of Rivers State Central Mosque, Malik Yahya, has called on Muslims across the country to continue to remain peaceful and united. Yahya said this in his Eid al-Kabir message to Muslims at the Rivers State Central Mosque prayer ground in Old Port Harcourt Township. He called on Muslims faithful not to relent in praying for the leadership of the country, especially now that the country is experiencing security challenges.
My statement or advice to the country is that the government are doing what they are doing, and they should do more to see that it gets to the masses, the poor masses. The poor masses are the people that they need to reach out to, educate them, make them to understand, make them to see reasons, to see that there is hope in this country. The government owe that to the people. Why the people hold followership and citizenship? The people need to love the country that they are living in. If you didn't love your country, you didn't sacrifice for your country, you always want your country or your government to do for you. What have you put forward for the country? What have you done for the country? These are things that we also need to ask ourselves. Because tomorrow, this set of leader will go. We will become the leader. But if you become the leader, you're going to repeat the same thing that they are doing. But what have you contributed so far to the country yourself? I think these are the things that I need to let us know so that the citizens themselves need to understand that we owe this country a duty.
Malik Yahya, while expressing concern over the state of insecurity affecting the country, called on government at all levels to use the resources at their disposal to embark on policies and programs that will promote peace and unity of the nation.
Unity, love, harmony is what makes people live together. And that is the reason of peaceful coexistence among the inhabitants of the earth. People living from different walks of life, different background, different tribes, different ethnic groups, different society, different upbringing. But when you try to understand yourself and relate with each other and understand the difference of each other, you should be able to collaborate together and work together as one entity, one people that wants to have something in common. And that is the purpose of you gaining something that you say, for the sake of unity and peace and harmony, you issue whatever things that will bring differences and will escalate problems and violence.
Meanwhile, the Vice President General of the Nigerian Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs, Nasir Uhar, in this Eid Kabir message called on Muslims across the country to maintain all COVID-19 preventive measures to remain alive. He also urged all youth across the country to shun crimes and hard drugs.
Please, my dear Muslim brothers and sisters, I want you to take these messages very, very serious. Imam has told us, and we all know that the country is in a very difficult situation, security-wise. That is true. But there are certain areas also we should also get involved, and that is taking care of our own health. Even if we are not threatened by security and we don't take care of our life, our health, we will not live happily. This is a problem that we are not facing. We are so much concerned with security, we neglect ourselves. And how is it working out? Today we have been told that there's a more serious aspect of COVID-19 that is in the state now. And this aspect, they call it Delta variant, is more deadly than the normal COVID-19 virus. And I think it is a joke. If it is not there, the authorities will not tell you that it is there. Because it is there and because it kills, that is why they are making effort to let us know. And please, listen to what they say. Allah has put them there to guide us. And then they have said this thing is there. Take all the precautions that are asked of you so that we prevent this disease from spreading. I do not think that we want to wait until we start dying by 100,000 a day, 200,000 a day, before we know that these things are serious.
Meanwhile, some Muslims faithful spoke with Atlantic Television Network correspondent Femi Ogunkolede.
I'm very happy, so happy because Allah make me witness these days. And my advice to the Muslim brothers is that we should take the lesson from the Prophet Ibrahim, which is the father of nations. What brings this our celebrations today? The lesson is supposed to be in part and parcel of our life till we die.
Our Prophet taught us that unity is the best thing, because as the saying goes, you can't break a full broom, but when you remove the strand, you can break it.
Yoruba separatist leader Sunday Adeyemo, popularly known as Sunday Igboho, has been arrested in neighboring Benin Republic. This is coming weeks after the Department of State Service declared him wanted for allegedly stockpiling arms. Igboho, who was arrested by security forces at the airport in Cotonou, was reportedly heading for Germany. The DSS had earlier said it was pursuing Igboho after he fled raid on his residence in southwestern Oyo State. Now, joining us now via Zoom is a constitutional lawyer to throw his weight behind this developing story. Thanks for joining us, Barrister Inebehi Afiong.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, straight up, why the dust is yet to settle concerning Nnamdi Kanu's arrest, and we just got another news of Sunday Igboho arrest. How would you throw your weight behind all of these series of arrests?
It is an indication that the federal government, led by President Buhari, is determined to quell all form of agitation for self-determination or agitation for an independent state out of Nigeria. For me, that is not surprising, given what this government has done, from 2015 to date. You can see with the way IPOB members have been treated, the way they have been killed and slaughtered without justice, even the way Nnamdi Kanu was basically abducted from Kenya to Nigeria. This is a consistent pattern that we have seen over time. So it is not surprising, because even the SSS, when they invaded Sunday Igboho's house, they subsequently made it clear that they were going to get him. So I do not doubt that, huge federal resources was deployed to track and arrest Sunday Igboho as it were. I hope that as we continue to follow the development, that there will be clarity on the circumstances of his arrest, because we cannot continue to see a situation where people are basically abducted and there is no transparency or accountability on how they were arrested, whether they were kidnapped or so. It is important for the government to come out clean. It is important for the government to be accountable. It is important for the government to explain clearly why they arrested Sunday Igboho, and of course also respect his rights. Do not forget that some of his supporters are still being detained in the custody of SSS without trial. Even two of his supporters were killed in his residence. All this shows that Nigeria is a dictatorship. It shows you that we have a regime that has no respect for the rule of law. We cannot run a country based on the emotions of the president, based on the emotions of people in power. Okay. We must run our country based on the rule of law.
Okay, now, what does this behoves on other agitators across the country?
It is a message that this government, this regime is determined to attack to imprison and go after anybody who exercises the rights that are recognized under international instruments. Because what is this really about? What is Sunday Igboho about? He's talking about Oduduwa Republic. He's saying he wants a referendum. He's saying he is not interested in being a Nigerian anymore. That is the right to self-determination. Has he gone on violence to kill people, to burn down properties? I have not seen evidence of that. So what the government is doing for me is just clearly unfortunate that people are being attacked. And don't forget, even those who are protesting peacefully, like we saw in Lagos recently, where, at the end of the day, 14-year-old trader was killed in the process, are being arrested, are being targeted by the police, are being targeted by the security services. So what this shows is that this is a regime that has no regard for the rights of Nigerians. This is a regime that has already fostered dictatorship on the country. People like Sunday Igboho, you may not agree with what they are fighting for, but you cannot stop them from exercising their right. So this is a way of saying, if you come out to speak, if you come out to agitate, to say you want the country out of Nigeria, this is how we are going to treat you.
All right, thank you so much, Inebehi Erfiong, a constitutional lawyer. Thank you for joining us on this brief interview. Okay, in the meantime, Chief Magistrate Court sitting in Yaba, Lagos, has granted bail to 48 nation agitators arrested and detained by the Lagos State Police Command. Chief Magistrate Adehola Adeyeye granted them bail in the sum of 300,000 each, worth 2 shorties a Monday after listening to the application filed by their counsel, Olashupo Ojo. Ojo had argued, amongst other things, that there was no charge yet preferred against the agitators by the police. At the last sitting of the court on the 5th of July, the magistrate had granted bail on self-recognizance to one of the agitators, who was a lawyer. The Lagos State Police Command had paraded the suspects of 47 men and 2 women arrested in connection with the Oduduwa Republic mega rally at Ojota. According to the Commissioner of Police, Hakim Odumosu, some of them were intercepted and found with guns, axes, Oduduwa flags, Yoruba Armed Forces vests, and other items. One of the Ikoku for Ifeanyi Osuje has expressed delight over the ruling by the Abuja Federal High Court, which found the Nigerian police guilty of infringing on his fundamental human rights. Speaking with Atlantic Television Network through his lawyer Samuel Bala, Oji says the ruling by Justice James Omotosho is a wake-up call for victims of police brutality and indiscriminate arrest.
The residents of Rivers State and in fact Nigeria as a whole did not know that there was torture chamber existing at my one police station and maintained by the Ego Crack Squad, which was a crack team set up to protect lives and property, and especially to tackle kidnapping, armed robbery, and the courtesan-related matters. But there they turned it into torture chamber to be torturing innocent citizens, of which Ifeanyi Osuje was one of the victims. So there is judgment now, or let me say there is justice now for Ifeanyi Osuje, going by this judgment that was entered on the first day of July 2021.
Speaking further, Okpala called on victims of police brutality to seek redress in courts.
So it holds hope for Nigerians, and in particular Rivers State residents, that there is hope or light at the end of the tunnel. That judgment established a number of legal principles and validates the rights of the citizens as provided for in the Constitution. That judgment made it clear that Attorney General of Nigeria is a necessary party in proceedings against federal government or federal government agencies. And it has countered a similar judgment delivered by another federal high court at Yenegua, saying that Attorney General should not be included in such cases. So as far as we are concerned, it has gone a step further to establishing the hope and the aspirations of the common man that when there is violation, there is hope, and there will be redress by the courts. Okay. So as far as that judgment is concerned, it goes on now, or goes down now as a precedent to be used in other cases, or in other similar cases. So there is hope. There is a lot of hope. All we are saying is that individuals should come up when their rights are violated. These rights are there for them to claim. Is there constitutionally guaranteed and provided?
Justice Omotoshan found the Nigerian police guilty and awarded the sum of 5 million naira to the plaintiff, Ifeanyi Osuji. Recall that in December 2019, 5 auto mechanics at the popular Ikoku spare parts market in Port Harcourt were arrested, detained, and tortured by the Eagle Crack units of the Rivers State Police Command of the Nigerian Police, leading to the death of one of them, Chima Ikunado. Still in the judiciary, 2 courts in Anambra State have ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to list the names of Professor Chukwuma Soludo and Senator Ugochukwu Ubar as the candidates of the All Progressive Congress, Grand Alliance, and the People's Democratic Party, respectively, for November 6, 2021 governorship election. In Professor Soludo's case, the High Court, presided over by Justice C.C. Okar, directed INEC to publish the former CBN governor's name, which was removed from the electoral umpires list last Friday and replaced with that of Chukwuma Michael Umweju. Justice Okar ordered INEC to remove the name of Umweju from its list and ordered him to stop parading himself as a candidate of APGA for the November election. The court also reaffirmed that Victor Oye is indisputed national chairman of APGA and directed Edozie Njoku and Jude Okeke should stop parading themselves as chairman. Similarly, in Senator Ubar's case, High Court in Oka, presided over by Justice Obiora Wambwinke, ordered INEC to list the lawmaker's name as a rightful candidate, but as also awarded 10 million naira damages against the defendant, the PDP and Val Ozigbo, the other candidates of the party produced at the primaries, supervised by the leadership of the party. The controversy over the electronic transmission of election results is still generating reactions from Nigerians. Joining us now via Zoom is constitutional lawyer Festus Owechi. Thank you for joining us, Barrister Festus. Barrister Festus, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thanks for inviting me. Thank you very much.
Okay, the NBC has given directives to media houses to curtail their reportage on crimes and criminality, and most especially activities of terrorist groups. Let's hear your take concerning this recent development by the NBC.
Yeah,
can you turn on your camera so we can see you?
Constitutional framework.
Can you turn on your camera?
We are operating under a constitutional framework. Can you hear me?
Please, Barrister Festus, can you turn on your camera?
Okay, sorry. Sorry, just a minute.
All right.
All right? So we are saying, can you see me now?
Your camera is off. Maybe we'll come back to you. Your camera is off.
Yes, it's on now.
Okay. Talk to us concerning the directive by NBC to media houses in the country.
The National Broadcasting Commission operates under a constitutional framework. Under that framework, fundamental rights are respected, they are enshrined, and they are guaranteed. Under that framework, also, we have international instruments guaranteeing human rights, the African Charter of Human and People's Rights, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and the Economic and Social Rights, and all these recognize the rights of freedom of speech, freedom of the press. The National Broadcasting Commission has been sticking its neck so much out these days over cowing the broadcast media in terms of their freedom to report and do other things. And there's been a series of judgments stopping such acts, including the judgments of the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice, which is an international court, and the Federal High Court. There's even a pending matter against them at the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt over their issuance of prohibition fees against media houses and their penalties, which are totally unconstitutional and illegal. The Broadcasting Commission is not created to direct the affairs of media houses in terms of reportage or tell them what to report and what not to report. And if you tell the media houses or the newspapers or whatever press that has whatever value within any framework not to report the crime or the incidents of crime, terrorism and banditry in the society, then evokes a lot of suspicion. And that is exactly the way I'm looking at it, because if the National Broadcasting Commission can issue such instructional directive and the federal government sits there and waits and listens to them without taking action to stop them from those kind of unconstitutional moves, then there's something going on that we do not understand. And that's my point.
Okay, now what does this say about the freedom of the press?
Well, it says a lot about the freedom of the press, but it cannot be cowed because this is a democratic system, and you cannot hold them to sabotage and tell them that maybe they should begin to report what government wants to hear or what it wants to see on the pages of newspapers. That's not the essence of it. It is the fourth estate of the realm, and this must be understand within the context of the fact that ours is a democratic system, and the media plays a very important role in the development, in the sustenance of democracy. It is the fourth estate of the realm, like I said, and the action of the NBC is something that I expected some bit of rebuttal from the federal government, and maybe some action one way or the other to tell the world that, look, we are not responsible for that, and the National Broadcasting Commission is on a frolic on its own. But yeah, we are yet to see that type of action coming from the federal government. And they've not done anything to even checkmate, because I look at it purely from the point of view that the National Broadcasting Commission is exceeding its bounds democratically.
That's terrible. Okay, now how can the press exercise its right without falling prey of these directives by the NBC?
Nobody's going to fall prey of any directive if you are doing the proper report. If it's objective and it's balanced and the news is factual and it's not fake, you don't have anything. There are no bounds. Then the National Broadcasting Commission cannot come and set bounds in the democratic system, a constitutional ambience that gives you all the freedom to do your work. Freedom of speech, the fundamental right. And it must be respected, it must be abided with, it must be obeyed, and they cannot be curtailed or circumvented because the National Broadcasting Commission has spoken.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Bryce Festus Ogwechi, for joining us. Okay,
thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Still on the Atlantic Television News, we'll go on that short break, and we'll be right back with more stories. Stay with us.
We anchor the facts. A home for in-depth reportage, breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide spectrum of topics.
On the facts, breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide range of topics.
Atlantic Television Network, home for in-depth reportage, facts, professionalism, all the news you need. Atlantic Television Network. Atlantic Television Network.
Atlantic Television Network, anchoring facts.
We anchor the facts. A home for in-depth reportage, breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide spectrum of topics.
Welcome back. It's the Atlantic Television Network News. We're still looking at more stories right now. The controversy over the electronic transmission of election results is still generating reactions from Nigeria. In an interview with Atlantic Television Network, a public affairs analyst, Jerry Omar, says Nigeria is not yet ready for digital electionary process.
Where do you have lights? We don't have much light right now. We don't have network. If you're driving from this place now to Oberekwere, you have more areas you don't have network than even areas you have network. How do you now perform the magic that Festus Okoye is now telling me that he has network when the people that are representing their own people in their constituency, they are telling you that they don't have network to transmit this whole thing? And some other areas too, where you have people, unknown gunmen attacking facilities, and some of those stores were destroyed. So where do you go from there? Can you do that between now and 2023 and put the necessary mask that will now make sure that this thing is transferred? I think the answer is no.
In a related matter, the convener of the Integration Summit Group Nigeria, Dr. Chris Ekio, said the National Communication Commission should collaborate with Independent National Electoral Commission and allow for electronic transmission of election results, raising that Nigeria has all it takes to do it.
It is where you do not have GSM services. And then we still have about a year and plus to think about preparing for an election. So if the NCC is saying that they cannot do 50% right now, then they should work towards doing about 75% in the next 1 year. This is possible. The government invests in that process, and government is committed about open and transparent processes for the election. Everybody's complaining about rigging and inappropriate means of transmission of electoral results, including through the falsification of results. Monies are spent in tribunal, and then people spend a whole lot of time trying to find justice after the election. I think that if we do an outright, on-the-spot transmission of results, it will reduce that by about another 50%. So if we are covered by 50% as claimed by the NCC, then INEC is right to say that we can do this. NCC needs to then work with INEC and the federal government to expand the coverage for the purpose of election, and this is not rocket science. This is doable.
Also reacting, some political players in Rivers State, including the Aquaria Local Government Council Chairman Samuel Wanosike and other former PDP spokesman Dalton Orji, said the ruling or progressive Congress members should adhere to the yearnings of Nigerians by agreeing to allow for total electronic transmission of election results.
It shows clearly that those who are in charge of the National Assembly, especially the Speaker of the Federal House of Reps and the President of the Senate, are doing a yeoman's job for those who do not have the capacity to win election. That they have over 85% coverage of the entire nation. That even results from Medugri, Zamfara, anywhere you can think about, can be transmitted instantly.
Our former member of Rivers State House of Assembly, Victor Enyeche, admitted that the electronic process is the way forward, but advised caution.
What Nigerians are saying is that elections should be electronically transmitted, so that this idea of killing people, ballot snatching, molestation of people, military taking over election from 3 o'clock during collection, will come to an end, and the lives and properties of our people will be safe and secure.
Everywhere, meaning Nigeria, would want to eliminate electoral fraud. But what is important is that we must be ready for it. So I think, listening to the National Communication Commission, saying that only about 50% of the country is actually covered by 3G, transmission, which is what we need. I'm just imagining that on election day, from every polling unit, from every ward, that if they are not sure that it's tamper-proof, because sometimes it might even be more difficult to prove electronic fraud than it is to prove when it's on paper. When something is manipulated on paper, you can actually see it and you can prove it. But if it is manipulated online, it's more difficult to prove. So,
in another story, the chairman of Senate Committee on Army, Mohammed Ali Dime, has asked a federal high court in Abuja to allow him withdraw from further acting as a surety to former chairman of Pension Reform Task Team, Rashid Maina. Maina is facing trial before the court following his arraignment by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for alleged money laundering offences. They may volunteer to act as Maina's surety when the court granted him bail. But Maina jumped bail, prompting the court to order the Mays remand in prison until Maina was rearrested in a neighboring country. At yesterday's resumption of proceedings in the trial, the Mays lawyer, Marcel Om, told the court about the pending application filed by his client on December 15, 2020. Lawyer to the prosecution, Mohammed Abubakar, objected to the hearing of the Mays application, contending that the court lacked jurisdiction to hear it because the matter was already before the Court of Appeal. Justice Abang adjourned in October 4th for further hearing. We'll go on a short break. We'll bring you more stories after this time. Stay with us.
We anchor the facts.
A home for in-depth reportage.
Breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide spectrum of topics.
Welcome back to Atlantic Network News. Looking at foreign stories now, Haiti's interim Prime Minister Claude Joseph has agreed to step aside to make way for an inclusive government that will hold elections. A government official tells Joseph, who has run the country since the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse, will hand over today to a new government whose primary task will be to hold elections quickly. The government will be led by Henry, who was selected by Moïse to replace Joseph just days before the controversial Hilton president was shot dead in his home in Port-au-Prince on July 7th. Monday's announcement raised hope of ending the uncertainty and came after the United States, which exerts wide influence in Haiti, had joined other powers in making clear that Joseph would make way. Before we go, a look at the top stories. President Buhari has called on Muslims to demonstrate the virtues of Islam on occasion of Eid al-Kabir. A court has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to list the name of Chukwuma Soludo as All Progressive Grand Alliance candidate for another November pro-governorship election. And Yoruba Nation agitator Sunday Igboho has been arrested in Cotonou, Benin Republic. We also told you the Haitian authorities has inaugurated a new government 2 weeks after the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. And that's the Atlantic Network News. Many thanks for joining us. Follow us on social media. Facebook, YouTube is at Atlantic Television Network, and on Instagram is Atlantic TV Network. I'm Flora Duke. Thanks for being there.
We anchor the facts.
A home for in-depth reportage.
Breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide spectrum of topics.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and